All right, welcome everyone to another webinar with DQ&A. This time on the topic of audiences and how to manage them at scale within DV360. We have a quick agenda for you today. We'll start off with a quick introduction on the whole topic of data-driven marketing and how audiences factor into that. We will show you how Google audiences are created and the process of what Google does in order to get those audiences stitched together. We will give you a quick rundown of the types of audiences you can find in DV360 and a quick explanation of the audience module and how to most efficiently use it. At the end, we also have a few F&Qs for you prepared with a few pitfalls, best practices, and how you can set up your campaigns and audiences in the most efficient way. My name is Fabian. I'm your host today. And I'm joined by my colleague Jamie Collar from South Africa, and he's a media and platforms consultant there, and he will run you through the presentation. Now, the stage is all yours, Jamie.
Fantastic. Thanks for the introduction, Fabian. So with technology at our fingertips, a new consumer has emerged. This is a super empowered consumer, and he or she can get exactly what they want instantly and effortlessly. And as a result of this, consumers are more curious, demanding, and impatient than ever before. So in terms of curiosity, with such easy to access to information, consumers are able to perform much greater research on the decisions they're making. So for example, we see users watching product reviews on a new smartphone on YouTube before purchasing it. Consumers can be demanding as they demand personal relevance in the moment. So for example, we see a massive rise in near-me searches. And in terms of consumers being impatient, these consumers want to act now and expect to get information instantly. And experience, the experience better be fast and it better be frictionless, especially on mobile. And we see this in the fact that same-day shipping searches have doubled in the past 2 years. This super empowered consumer has a heightened expectation for assistance. They expect assistive experiences that are useful, personal, and frictionless. So for example, mobile sites that load instantly, the ability to purchase in one click, remember where they were in their past behavior, and predict what they might need next. And this super empowered consumer also has a heightened expectation for assistance even from ads. And as a result, ads need to evolve with these expectations. And when you deliver a compelling ad to consumers, these consumers respond. And this is seen in a recent study conducted by Google on how brand experiences inspire consumer action. We see that 91% of smartphone owners bought or plan to buy something after seeing an ad that can be described as relevant. So relevance really is key. We've seen successful brands work really hard to close this gap by creating different segments of customers and build personalized and relevant experiences for each stage of the customer journey. And being useful and relevant is the only way to get consumers to tune in. This is why we believe for marketers, assistance is the new battleground for growth. So this is where we can use audiences to help us engage with today's super empowered consumer. So Google's audiences are built around, firstly, identity, to understand who people are. Google have a powerful suite of audience products across display, search, YouTube, and Gmail, which we will touch on today. The second pillar is intent, so what people want. And this is done with signals that we'll cover in a few moments, that will notify us of the intent during the consumer journey. And intelligence essentially predict what people will do, and this is done with machine learning and automation to drive performance at scale. And we'll take a look at these audience solutions in a few moments. In a recent study conducted by Google and the BCG, this study showed that only 2% of brands are realizing this full potential of data-driven marketing. So let's look at where EMEA marketers are on this journey, where they fall in terms of digital maturity, and how many of them are doing it well. The BCG found that the market is widely split when it comes to maturity, and they found that businesses tend to fall within one of four stages rather. So the first stage being nascent. Marketing campaigns are mainly external data and direct buys with limited links to sales. Emerging, so there is some use of own data and automated buying with single channel optimization and testing. Connected, this data is integrated and activated across channels with demonstrated link to ROI and sales proxies. And then multi-moment, we see dynamic execution across multiple channels, optimized towards individual customer business outcomes and transactions. And of the brands who participated, 90% were evenly split between emerging and connected. And only, as I mentioned before, just 2% of these brands are really realizing the full potential of data-driven marketing. Yet those companies who fully capture its potential see their revenues grow and costs reduced. And that represents a huge opportunity for us as marketers. So successful data-driven advertisers are seeing a cost savings of 30% and revenue increases of as much as 20%. So therefore, a full funnel audience strategy is one of the tools we can use as marketers to take advantage of this opportunity. So in terms of upper funnel strategies, we can drive awareness with demographics and affinity audiences. In terms of the mid-funnel, we can drive consideration with in-market and custom intent, where off-the-shelf is not available. And in bottom of the funnel, we can drive action with Floodlight and DV360, first-party audiences. More on these audiences in a few moments. So before I dive into these audiences, how does it work essentially? So Google has 7 properties, each reaching 1 billion users monthly. And this enables Google to have a massive amount of data to work with. So throughout the day, people are turning to Google to help make choices, whether they're choosing what to do, what to watch, where to go, or even what to buy. And these moments are occurring across search, YouTube, maps, etc. And in these moments, when these users are turning to Google, these signals are generated. And with signals, Google is able to have a strong understanding of who these users are and what they want. So let's meet Sarah. Sarah's been searching for wedding dresses available on the internet, and she's searching on Google. And she's been actively watching wedding makeup tutorials on YouTube. And she's recently downloaded the Knot app for a wedding registry on the Play Store. And based on these signals of intent, Google is able to establish that Sarah is getting married and therefore add her to a life event audience. So for example, a travel company can then target this audience and engage with Sarah with useful ads and display an ad about a special on a honeymoon destination, for example. And Google will utilize machine learning to mine these signals and create audiences of users based on their behavior on all of these Google properties. So let's have a look at some of these audiences available to us in DV360. With a strong understanding of users' behavior and intent, the audience product suite is built to engage with users across their journey. So if we look at demographics, these are audiences based on facts about users' lives. And in terms of your reach objectives, you can drive ad recall and brand awareness at the top of the funnel. Interest and habits, these are audiences based on interests and frequent behaviors and habits. And your reach objectives could be tailored towards more consideration and brand favorability. And intent and action, these are audiences based on people making purchase decisions right now. And Google audiences as well as first-party data and similar audiences and customer match. And the reach objectives that you can tailor these to is purchase, intent, and action. So let's unpack some of these audiences. So with demographics audiences, we can reach people based on facts about their lives, so such as relationship status, parenting stage, household income, education, or employment. And how these are created, it starts by surveying hundreds of thousands of people to understand their detailed demographic attributes. Google then uses signals from their Google properties to understand the unique behaviors and characteristics of the surveyed sample, and then applies a machine learning model to find similar users of this audience. With interests and habits, you can reach people based on interests or frequent behaviors and habits. And how this is done, these audiences are built, again, using signals from Google Search, Maps, and YouTube, and then validated by surveys and machine learning. So let's have a look at some of the interest and habits audiences. Firstly, affinity audiences are built using interest signals. Affinity targeting, with affinity targeting, you're able to target users who are most likely to engage with your brand by targeting people who exhibit a specific passion. So for example, fashionistas, dog lovers, home and garden, beauty and wellness, or coffee shop regulars. So now that we've explored the pre-built Google audience that will fit with your marketing message, let's explore how you can leverage custom affinities to create a more bespoke targeting segment. You can use detail learned from your audience brainstorming or your subsequent audience analysis that I'll get into in a few moments to help you develop custom affinities. And you can do this by sharing keywords or interest URLs and apps that relate to your audience. And then DV360 breaks these down into content themes and then finds users who have browsed similar content related to these themes. So for example, if you want to build a specialty coffee segment, you could insert manual brewing, manual coffee brewing, or Chemex keywords. You can also include places of interest, and this only applies to YouTube. So for example, you could include users that frequent sports and fitness venues. With intent audiences, you can reach people that are making purchase decisions that are relevant to your brand right now. And these audiences are built using strong intent signals, again from Google's properties, like recent search queries or customer signals on a website, video, or email. So bear in mind, these signals are updated in real time. And let's have a look at these intent-driven audiences. So the first intent-driven audience is in-market audience. And in-market audiences are great for driving more qualified leads to your website to grow your remarketing lists and reach users who are actively intending to buy certain products or services in the near future, or have a high propensity to buy if they find the right product or offer. And this is based on browsing behavior that shows purchase intent and repeated visits to pages with high contextual correlation. So for example, if a user is viewing a car comparison website, that user could be placed in an in-market for motor vehicles audience. You can dive a little deeper with custom intent, and this enables you to reconnect YouTube or display and reconnect with these people who search your products. And it's a great way to expand your reach beyond search and capture the attention during an active purchase decision. So on YouTube, you can create a custom intent audience by entering a list of keywords, usually the best performing keywords from your search campaigns. And then on display, you can use some of your top keywords, and you can also use URLs and apps to build your audience. Similar audiences looks at data about your existing remarketing audiences and finds new qualified consumers who have shared interests with that audience, with your first party audience. And it's a powerful but simple way to reach a larger audience and drive clicks and conversions among new prospects. Tag-based audiences enable you to remarket to users who have visited your site but not yet converted. And these could be floodlights coming from Campaign Manager. And this first-party data is immensely valuable. And we can discuss how we can use this first-party data in a few moments. But essentially how this works is a user visits your website where a floodlight has been implemented. they meet the custom criteria that you defined, and they're included in your audience list. The user hasn't converted yet, and later visits publish a web page where an impression opportunity becomes available. DV360 bids on that as you're targeting that first-party audience, and you add a serve to that user. That user clicks on the banner, goes back to your website, and hopefully converts. You can use your YouTube audiences to remarket to users and deliver an engaging brand experience based on their interactions across your YouTube channel. So you can target users who have watched your video, shared your video, subscribed to your channel, frequent visitors to your channel, or watch two or more of your videos on your channel, for example. And to do this, you need to link your YouTube channel to your DV360 advertiser. There's also a native integration between DV360 and Analytics 360. And you can use the most valuable website data to target and report on your first-party audiences. So this goes a step beyond flat-out remarketing, as you can use more than 250 metrics from Analytics to build these audiences, and target them in DV360. So you can really remarket to this wealth of on-site data. So for example, you could target users visit a specific page category, search for a certain product on your site, spend a certain amount of time on your site, visit a certain item on your site, or added a product to a basket. You can also target a wide variety of rich third-party data that is packaged by the providers or your own DMP. And DV360 is integrated with many providers, but to name a few, Visual DNA, X8, or Bluekai. So for example, you could target rich high net worth individuals offered by X8, for example. Do bear in mind there is an additional CPM uplift applied to these third-party audiences, whereas Google's affinity and in-market audiences are free. Now that we have had a look at the different sources and audiences available to us, let's look at how we can manage this all at scale. So we've covered all of this rich audience data that we have at our disposal. However, it all comes from different sources and can become tricky to manage. So you have your Google audiences in DV360, perhaps floodlights coming from Campaign Manager, and audiences coming from Analytics 360. The display and video audience module is a place that can help you reach this audience and consolidate all of your audiences in one place in the Google marketing platform. So this tool essentially enables you to consolidate, analyze, and manage data from one platform. So centralize all of your customer data regardless of the source, pull together important signals from different products in one place, and then mix and match all of these available data sets to create performing audience lists. And this tool is organized around three pillars. Firstly, to manage so all of your audiences in one place, build and then create and combine these audiences in one place, and then analyze and quickly access insights about these audiences and then act on these insights right there in that audience module. So where do we find the audience module in the user interface? You can find it on partner or advertiser level under the audiences tab. So let's start off by first of all looking at the audience profile analysis. This tool can be helpful in gathering greater insights about your audiences to understand your customer better and help you make more informed decisions when building these audiences. If you've worked with DV360 in the past, you'll be familiar with how difficult it can become to gain deep insights about your audiences. One would have to pull a number of reports, and this can be quite time consuming. Whereas here in the analysis tool, you can easily understand your first party audience behavior or what interests or composition or profile that audience belongs to based on all of the data sets available. So this is your first party audiences, Google audiences, third party audiences, or geo distribution. And this can help you better understand your customer. And then create combined audiences straight from the report. to give you more control of your audience lists, and also gives you a similarity index based on your first party data. So you have an overview of your lists. You can look at your overlap between your audience lists. You can have a deep dive per data set. If you filter into each data set, you can refine these by with variety of different filters available in the tool, and you can create an audience directly within the analysis tool that is pre-populated on the right hand of the screen when you're in the tool. So an example of how this can be useful, as if you're an advertiser, you have valuable customers in DV360, and you'd like to find more of these users with your campaigns. So with this profile analysis tool, you can analyze the composition of these customers of your first party data, and its similarity with other data sets that are available for your targeting in DV360. And you can select other data sets that look interesting to you and create an audience out of that target and target it in your next campaign. And with more insights about your customers from this analysis tool, you're able to start creating new audiences with any data set available, all from one place. And this is can be found on the Audience Builder homepage. So this view can be found under all audiences in the audience module if you select new audience. And this is a place in the Google Marketing Platform where you have one centralized view of your audiences. And it includes your first party data, combined audiences, data uploads, to name a few. Just bear in mind, if you're unable to see your the uploaded data section displayed here, you'll need to ensure that your partner has been whitelisted for uploaded data. And with everything in one place, there's no need to navigate to other workflows. And another thing to bear in mind, if you wish to share an audience across advertisers on partner level, if you've navigated here via partner level, you need to ensure that you've linked these advertisers on the Google Marketing Platform linked accounts tab in DV360. By creating activity audiences available in the audience module, you can easily reach users who have engaged with your campaigns, and this enables you to build audiences based on DV360 campaign activity, essentially. So you can build audiences based on clicks, conversions, impressions that are based on your first party remarketing lists, and you can use those lists for targeting in your TrueView or display campaigns. Some current limitations: you can only build activity-based audiences off DV360 activity, and your eligible impressions for campaign activity-based lists are limited to impressions that led to conversions or impressions of users that belong to your first-party remarketing lists, and this is in alignment with Google's policies. And take note of the audience composition on the right of the screen when you're creating one of these, and the audience eligibility. So if you're able to target display or YouTube with this audience. And an example of how this audience can be useful to you, let's say you want to reach an audience that is specifically engaged with the previous display or video campaign. With the campaign activity audiences, you can create a list of campaign exposed users or clickers or converters, for example, without having to analyze heavy data transfer files that you would have had to have done in the past. And you can do this across campaigns, channels, and advertisers if you've linked them. When managing multiple campaigns, it can become tricky to manage frequency across these campaigns. So here's where frequency audiences come in. You can easily control the frequency or exposure of a given user across campaigns, deals, and inventory types. So here you can exclude users based on the number of impressions they were served, essentially. There's a two-step workflow. First, you'll create the specific audience type that needs to be negatively targeted in your line items audience targeting. The second step can also be performed as part of a combined audience workflow. So if you can add a frequency audience as part of your combined audience to negatively target users that have been served a certain number of impressions. Some current limitations, again, can only be based off activity within a given advertiser for now. For audience frequency cap, YouTube impressions also not eligible for now. An example of a use case, this would be great if you want to avoid overexposure of your audiences across campaigns, to save wasted impressions and increase your reach and potential, and avoid reaching the same people with different messages when you have multiple campaigns running at the same time. So traditionally, a campaign or IO line item frequency cap only lets you cap impressions for a single campaign IO line item. But if you still want to manage this frequency across campaigns for a given user, you would need to analyze a set of log files and data transfer, which takes a lot of time to both analyze and activate. And then obviously resulting in you losing data freshness because of this analysis. But with the frequency cap audience, you can eliminate this need for this heavy lifting, save you time and increase your data freshness, and just create a frequency cap audience and cap frequency across campaigns. Finally, with combined audiences available in the audience module, you're able to create custom combinations between your first-party Google data, third-party lists, and you can reuse these lists across campaigns. So some limitations, you can only create combined audiences for display, not YouTube lists for now. Combined audiences cannot be targeted for TrueView campaigns. Ad group level targeting audience combination features still work though, however. Existing DV360 line items level and or not combinations are only available currently. So you can't include an and statement in your combined audience, only an or statement. So an example of a use case of how you could use these combined audiences, you have a custom list combination that you often use to target various campaigns. Currently, to reuse this combination, this targeting combination of multiple audiences, you either have to duplicate existing line items or recreate the combination manually at line item targeting level. But with a combined audience, you're able to now save this time and create a custom combination and easily reuse this audience across new or existing line items. So let's have a look at some of the frequently asked questions. So firstly, a question that we get quite often: how fresh is Google's affinity or in-market data? The signals are updated in real time. When can I create an audience in the audience module? When I create an audience in the audience module, why can't I find it? So it takes 4 hours for the data to populate. So if you can't find an audience after you've just created, just give it some time. 4 hours it should be there in the module. Are frequency audiences based or first-party data similar to activity-based audiences? So no, since it's an exclusion audience, this includes all of your data, so it's not only relying on your first-party data. Can I use DV360 audience in a combined list? Yes, you can. You can combine your first-party data with additional Google data with a combined audience. I can't find a custom list in the audience homepage. If you're on the partner level, it might be difficult to find, so just make sure you're on the advertiser level. You'll be able to find your custom list over there. How many users or cookies do you need as a minimum of your audience list? So technically, for it to sync through from Campaign Manager, it would be 100, but we'd recommend at least 1,000 users on the list before targeting it. Are any YouTube user lists available in display line items? No, unfortunately, YouTube user lists are only available for YouTube line items. Why is my activity-based audience so small compared to my seed audience? So bear in mind your activity-based audiences are only referable to your existing first-party data or users that have led to a conversion. So yeah, this is why it would be smaller than your seed audience. Can I use Google Ads audiences in DV360? No, unless you have GA360. Can I target users that are interested in home and garden affinity and are also in market to buy a vehicle? So when combining Google audiences, this can only be done with an OR statement. So this combination would be users that are interested in home and garden or are also in market to buy a motor vehicle. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Cheers.